Hello and welcome back to Hal Tech TV. Today we are having a look at the Noctua NF-A14 PWM variant. Now, if you have watched the unboxing, you will be aware that we did do both an unboxing and a video review, as well as obviously the written review on both the flexible and ultra low noise variants. But this has come out recently, and so we are doing the video review on this. This will be somewhat tied into the reviews we've done on the other ones, so we might not go as in depth as we did in the previous video, but you can always check that one out, because essentially half of this review is going to be based on the same sort of structures, features and everything that those were, but other than that, I will shut up now and let's get in and have a look at the Noctua NF-A14 PWM. So starting off with accessories, we have the fan here. It also comes with a 30cm extension cable, which is sleeved in just as high quality cable sleeving as the 20cm cable that comes already attached to the fan. We also have a low noise adapter, which reduces the fan speed, the maximum fan speed that the fan is capable of. And then we have a Y splitter to be able to use two fans on, say, a heatsink and connect them to the same CPU fan header. So other than that, we just have mounting options that come with the fan. So we have 4 fan screws and 4 of these anti-vibration little mounts, and I'll give you a nice good look at one of them right there. So we use them to mount this fan. So that is the accessories that come with the A14 PWM. It's a little different to the ones that come with the FLX and the ULN versions, obviously because they all suit different purposes while being kind of the same fan style. But let's move on to the features that come with this fan and then move on to the actual performance. So moving on to the fan, we have the 20cm cable that comes with it. Now it does have a kind of a white, creamy, Noctua kind of coloured header. Now a lot of fans have these as black, and I would kind of like to see this being a black now, especially seeing as it's going to be a visible connection on the motherboard. So if that could start being black, just like the cable, that would be perfect. But I do want to, in talking about the cable, point out that while this is the highest quality cable sleeving I have ever seen on any product, and this is something that Noctua have been doing for a while, and it's highly successful, I do want to point out that if you can see right there, it does stop about a centimetre or so from the fan itself, and then you have your bare wires going through the chassis. Now this I am going to keep pointing out regardless of how many videos I end up doing on fans like this. I don't personally like this, and I really want to see a company of some sort fix this in the future on a really high quality fan such as this. So it's kind of like the one thing that for me can ruin a product, or it can make me feel a little bit less happy about it. But yes, I would like to see that improved in the future. But moving on, we shall start with the front of the fan. So we have the AAO frame, so that is these anti-vibration pads here, which I'll actually take off and give you a nice good look at. These you can obviously remove. On some products you can't, so that is in the A series it's the A9 and down, so you've got the A9, the A6 and the A4, they're all non-removable, and if you do remove them, obviously you'd have to kind of double-sided sticky tape them back on, but on all the 120mm fans and above you can remove them. We also have the stepped inlet design around the corners of the fan and the inner surface microstructures, so I'll give you a good look at them now. So the inner surface microstructures are around the inside here, and these are the stepped inlet design. Now it's meant to, essentially, the inner surface microstructures is create a buffer of air between the chassis and the fan blades, and the stepped inlet design is obviously for directing the airflow into the fan in a manner that is beneficial for noise. So it's all about kind of reducing noise, improving performance. Other than that, stuff specific to this fan or specific to the A series, we have a 7-bladed fan design on this fan, and we also have the flow acceleration channels. So what the flow acceleration channels are, these ridges here in the blade tips, and again it's something to kind of direct the airflow in a manner which improves performance while reducing noise at the same time. So a lot of the features the Noctua actually include and add to their products are all about noise, which really is what makes Noctua fans so silent. But not only that, regardless of what kind of features they add to the blades and the chassis and everything, the biggest feature of any Noctua fan which really helps with noise is the bearing system. So we have an SSO2 bearing system. So this is the second revision of their self-stabilizing oil pressure bearing system, and in this case we have a brass bearing shell surrounding the bearing, so that should improve a lifetime of this particular fan. So not only are you getting your performance and reliability from the SSO2 bearing system, but you're also getting the added extra lifetime from the brass bearing shell. Now, I do want to point out, I don't actually point this out in a lot of videos, but I do want to point out that the type of bearing that Noctua actually uses is actually known to be a lot longer lasting than most bearing systems out there that other fans use. So it's a high quality, expensive bearing system, which really is kind of where some of the price kind of adds up to when it comes to making these fans. And they're known to be long-term performers. So unlike other bearing systems, you might have a really good high-performing fan for maybe the first year, and then after that it just starts getting loud and noisy. With these bearing systems, you won't get that. You'll get a long-term, high reliable performance from these. And then with the added brass bearing shell, essentially that's just extending the performance, which really isn't necessary, but it's an extra bonus. And I know I've rambled on about that, but that is basically all the features that you need to know about the NF-A14 PWM. So let's move on to the performance. So moving on to performance with this fan. Basically, if you were to run it at max speed, 12 volts, whatever you want to call it, the noise is somewhat noticeable. You can hear it. It's not completely silent when it's running at max speed. Very few fans are. But at the same time, it's not a loud noise, especially compared to a lot of competition out there. But also, it's one of them noises, given all the technology that's been put into this fan, all the features, and the fact it's a 140mm fan, it's it's one of them low hums that actually just disappears into, you know, background noise after like 5 seconds of hearing it. It's one of them nice fan noises. It's not kind of a harsh, high-pitched, annoying noise at all, and I really like that. But then put a fan speed reducer on it and you're perfect. You've got the extremely high specifications that come with the fan, but then it's also basically silent at the same time, and I really like that, especially given that it's now the PWM variant and not just kind of a 3-pin standard fan. So I really like that. Basically what that means is that you can run it off a PWM connection, have it with the pulse width modulation kind of feature, but then you can also use the fan speed reducer so that no matter what the situation is, you're not going to be able to hear the fan, and I really like that. Now also, in terms of static pressure, now this is something that has really impressed me with the A14 and obviously the A15 in turn, being that it's basically the same fan. The static pressure is over, it's 2.08mm H2O, and that's at max speed. And then for a 140mm fan, that is actually quite impressive. Everybody thinks of the NF-A14 as being a high static pressure fan, and it being quite a good fan for that situation. Well, that only has, I think it's a 2.25mm H2O. This is a 2.08, and this is a 140mm fan. And 140mm fans, if you don't know, essentially as the fan sizes get bigger, the RPM generally decreases, and so does the static pressure. So for a 140mm fan to achieve this rating, that was actually quite impressive, and it's noticeable as well when you're using the fan. So I really do like this fan, and I think it's a great performer. So to move on to my conclusion, when the A14 and the A15 fans were released to the market, it was kind of under the assumption that well, it's not so much as an assumption, it's kind of general knowledge that PWM fans are generally reserved for heatsink fans. And the A15 was essentially the heatsink variant of the A14. That's essentially what they are. The internal's all the same, it's just the difference in the chassis. Now, one thing I wanted to see was a combination of the A14 and the A15. I liked the shape and the look of the A14, but I liked the PWM functionality of the A15. And what we have here is essentially a combination of the two to make a really good A14 variant or 140mm fan. Now, I could easily say this is probably one of my favourite 140mm fans out there. So that really sums it all up, and this fan has received our Silver Award, just like the A14 ultra low noise and flexible variants, so it's right up there with them. But yes, this is definitely not a fan to skip over, and if you're looking for a 140mm fan out there, this is definitely a good thing to look at. But other than that, if you want to check out the unboxing or written review, links will be down below for them. If they aren't there, head over to the Haltech TV website and have a search on there, because they will be there at the point of this video being published. But yes, that being said, I'm Hal Thompson. This is another Haltech TV video. Don't forget to subscribe, and goodbye.